speaker. Um, he's well known to some of us. He has been a guest on this platform forum conference, previous ones. His name is Dr. Akintunde. He's a general practitioner, a family doctor. For those of us that are used to UK system, we call them GP. They're very powerful, they're very strong. They're well known across the nations. He's an author. Dr. Akintunde is an author. He's a speaker. He's also a pastor. His interests are in medical education and personal development. He is a fellow of the Royal College of General Practitioners in the United Kingdom. Dr. Henry believes in adding value to people through knowledge and helping individuals multiply their results. Dr. Henry Akintunde is married to a wonderful woman, Mrs. Jumoke Akintunde, and they are both blessed with children of God. So people of God, please welcome me. Join me to welcome Dr. Henry Akintunde. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Pastor Bayo. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, an honor for me to be here today. Thank you to Wise Investment House Foundation for inviting me again to speak to you today on this subject of the voice of the future. It is my prayer and hope that at the end of today's session, you would have been empowered significantly with more knowledge that enables you to achieve that brighter future. I'm just going to, I'm going to use some slides today, if that's okay, for my presentation. So I'm talking on the subject of living your dreams. And if I could be reminded, please, when I've got like 5 minutes more, that will be helpful so I can round up. Living your dreams. Okay. This first bit is an interactive bit. Can you please type in the chat what you feel is the biggest hindrance to people living their dreams? What's the number one reason why people don't live out their dreams? So I'll be looking at the chat and see if I can okay, fear. Okay, fear of failure. Okay. Interesting. All three people who have written something so far have written fear. Lack of opportunities, lack of vision. Thank you. Yes. Any other? There are 34 of us online. So I'm expecting more, not knowing what the actual dream is. Okay, that's helpful to know. Not knowing, yes. Lack of support, okay. I'm looking for more. You can repeat what others have said if that's your number one reason. It's a survey, so please type something. No encouragement, okay. Past failure, fear, okay. No funds. Yeah, I was looking for that. Definitely a big one. Lack of knowledge, yes. Self-perception, okay. Thank you. So thank you. You know what? You're all right. That these are very big reasons why people don't live their dreams. And my desire is that at the end of today, you would have received enough knowledge to be delivered and be free from whatever those hindrances are. Okay, so everybody has a dream, and I try to think about this very carefully. Does everybody have a dream? I haven't met anyone yet who at some point in their life did not have a dream. So it may be that right now the dream is not active, the dream may be submerged by so many things, but at some point in life, even if it was childhood, we all would have had one dream or the other. So everyone has a dream, but not everyone lives out their dream. And so the question is not about do you have a dream or do you not have one? In the innermost part of your heart, you do have a dream. The chances are that you've had one at some point. Now, the realities and the experiences of life may have clouded that dream. I'm hoping that today we can remove all that clutter and let that dream begin to find its voice again. So today is about how do you live that dream actually and fulfill that dream? How can you start living that dream? Okay, that's the focus of today. And I want you to think about this question very carefully. If you're not living your dream currently, then what kind of life are you living? Okay, I would rather spend the rest of my days living my dream. So any other life outside that kind of life is not God's ideal for me. So if you're not living your dream, what kind of life are you living? Are you living someone else's dream? And whether you know it or not, are you just living each day as it comes and whatever results you get is what you get? Or are you living just to pay the bills? Because whether you like it or not, the bills in the United Kingdom are relentless. They come in every single month, whether you are expecting them or not. So are you living that sort of life that is just about survival, paying the bills? Or could you even say that you're living a good life but still not the dream? Deep down in you, you know that there's something better. There's something you rather be doing. You may be earning good money, but it doesn't still feel, you still feel like something is missing. And I'm hoping that at the end of today, you can have an idea of what that missing bit is and begin to start working towards it. So think about it. If you're not living your dream currently, what kind of life are you living? Okay. Now, living your dream, when we talk about living your dream, is about living a life that is enriching to you and to those around you, a life that is fulfilling. There's satisfaction. And satisfaction is one of those things that only you know when you have it. When you get satisfied, you know, it's one of those things that it's very difficult to define, but once you hit it and achieve it, you know it. You get that sense of every day you wake up, you're looking forward to life. You go to bed feeling fulfilled for the kind of day that you've had. And a purpose-driven life, the living for the reason that you were born to achieve. A life that is full of impact. It's about spending the rest of your life doing what satisfies your passion. There's something that drives your passion. There's something you're passionate about. Living your dreams is living out that passion and fulfilling it. It's also about what enables you to make the greatest impact. And the interesting thing is that there's a point of intersection in all of these things. Usually, our dream is where our purpose is where our passions align. And when we're living in that area, that's where we are also making the greatest impact. So I'm not talking about different things that link up. Usually all of these things intersect. They are almost speaking about the same thing. Living your dream, it's about becoming who you were born to be. This was the reason God sent you to planet Earth. That's why he put that dream in your heart. And living that dream out is about becoming who God created you to be, who you were born on day one to become. That's what we are talking about today. Okay, we're going to look at a couple of reasons, about 4 of them, why people don't live their dreams. This is by no means exhaustive, but these are some of the main reasons I can think of, and some of them you've already mentioned. I feel that the main reason that many people don't live their dreams is that their why is not strong enough. Their why is not strong enough. So your purpose, your why, that dream, is it strong enough to drive you? If your dream was strong enough, it would compel you to live the kind of life that you want to live. You will not see yourself living any other life. You see, people who have a strong why are not only willing to live out that purpose, they are willing to even die for it. That's why the likes of Nelson Mandela could stay in prison for 27 years and still not lose focus of his why. That's why people could lay their own lives down to see something fulfilled. You know, everybody talks about Martin Luther King's speech of "I have a dream." As inspiring as that dream, that speech is, for me, his speech that I find most inspiring is the one he gave the night before he died, the one called the mountaintop speech. And in that speech, it's almost like he knew that his time was coming. And at some point, he said to the people, he said, "I have gone up to the mountain. I have seen the promised land. And I tell you that as a people, we are going to get there." He said, "I may not get there with you, but as a group of people, we're going to get there." I find that speech very inspiring because here was somebody that knew his why. And his why was so strong that even if he himself did not achieve it, all he cared about was that dream being achieved. Let other people that come after me see that dream achieved. And today, to some extent, we can see some of that dream being achieved. Is the reason somebody like Barack Obama could become the president of America. It all goes back to that dream that he had, that the time will come, people will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. So if we bring that back to you, what is your why? And sometimes it's not about not knowing the why, it's about that you've not clarified it so much. You've not allowed clarity of that why so much to the point that it compels you. I'm going to give an example on how powerful it is to understand why. And this example is actually from a book written by a man called Darren Hardy. Yeah, the book is titled The Compound Effect. And this is the example. Suppose now, just in your mind, imagine with me, if I were to pick up a plank of wood that is about 10 inches wide and about 30 foot long, and I just put it on the floor here, and I say, if you're able to walk from one end of this plank to the other plank, I would give you 20 pounds. How many of you will take up that challenge? Say, 10-inch wide plank, 30 foot long. I just throw it on the floor and I say, walk on this wood from the beginning to the end, from one end to the other, and I will give you 20 pounds. My guess is that almost everyone will go for it. Why wouldn't you? It's easy money. There's no risk involved. It's 10 inches wide. You can walk on it even though you are not a ballerina and maintain your balance and be fine. Now let's change the situation. If I was to put that same 10-inch wide, 30-foot long plank, and I was to put it between, use it as a bridge between two high-rise buildings, 100 floors each, and connect it there, and I ask you, walk from one end of this plank to the other plank, and I'll give you 20 pounds. How many people will take up the challenge at that point? My guess is most of you will say, away with your money, I'm not going to take that risk. Why would I take that risk for just 20 pounds? Now, let's change the picture a little bit. Imagine that you are at one end of the building, and on the other side of the building is your child, and they are there, and that building is on fire, and there's no one else that can reach for them. And I say, you've got this plank, can you walk on it? Are you even going to think twice about that? You're going to walk across that plank and go to try and save your child. Now, it's the same plank, it's the same buildings. Yet, in one instance, you were not willing to do it, but in the other instance, you would not even think twice about it before doing it. What's changed? The difference is your why. In the second example that I use, your why is so strong enough that you're going to forget about the risk of falling down when you walk that plank. As a matter of fact, the chances are you're not going to fall down because all you are focused on, all your energy and attention is to get across to the other building and save your child. Now, that's a very strong why. This is what a compelling why does for you. So if you're not living your dreams, the first question is to go back to the drawing board and ask yourself, what is my why? Why do I want to live this life? Why is it so important for me that I do not die before I live this sort of life? If your why is strong enough and you get clarity on it, then that's going to compel you to do what you need to do to live that life. So that's the number one reason I believe why many people don't live their dreams out. There, I'm gonna just move on a bit, sorry. So here's another question to make you think about your why. Why would you spend another day living a life that is not your dream? You know, one of my teachers told this story. One of my teachers in the John Maxwell team, she was saying that she's always had the dream to be doing what she was doing at the time she was teaching us, being a speaker, empowering other people, being a coach, writing a book, that sort of personal development industry. And one day she was talking to one of our colleagues at work, and she was like, well, this is what I really want to do, but I'm going to wait till about 3-4 years when I feel ready to be able to do that. And the person they were speaking to was a bit confused. They said, look, you told me, or you're telling me, that this is what you believe your life should be lived for. This is your purpose for living. Why would you want to spend another day living a life that is not your dream? And you know, that question was the motivation that she needed to do what she could do very quickly to start to live her dreams. Why would you want to spend even just one more day not living your dream? What would be the purpose of it when you know that it's not what you were born to do? So your why goes back to your why. It's got to be very strong, compelling enough to push you to do what you were born to do. I'm going to move on to the second reason. And the second reason is the fear factor. And that's been well articulated by some of the people here today in that survey, the fear factor. And it could be fear of failure. It could be fear of what other people would say. It could be fear of not wanting to stand out. It could be fear of not wanting to lose sight of the good life in order to reach out for the better life. Whatever the fear is, fear of feeling inadequate, the fear factor, it's a big reason that holds people from living their dreams. And the fear factor needs to be overcome. Okay? Now, when I came to the UK, one of the culture shocks for me was how big the insurance company was. Now, and I'm not talking about mandatory and sensible insurance like insuring your car, insuring your house, or health insurance or life insurance. I'm not talking about those sort of insurance. I'm talking about insurance, you know, hearing that there are some people that even insure parts of their body, insuring mobile phones. You buy a kettle and the next thing they are offering you is, can you insure this kettle for £2 a month and all of that? You're thinking, what is there to insure a kettle? I was so shocked and taken aback by how big the insurance industry is. And I was thinking to myself, why is anybody paying for this sort of ridiculous types of insurance? But then as I began to understand human behavior and human psychology, I came to understand that the reason is that many people, most people, are risk averse and they are willing to continue to pay money to protect themselves even from an event that has a very low probability of ever happening. What's the probability that your kettle would break down before you even finish paying enough insurance that covers the price of buying another kettle? So because people are so risk averse, they don't even think about some of these things. They just think about the fear of this thing happening, and they will pay money to protect themselves from that event happening, even though there's a very low probability that it will ever happen. Now, on the flip side, if you think about it on the flip side, the insurance company are making money from taking on the risk that you are unwilling to take. They make money by taking on that risk that you are unwilling to take. And there is the principle of life. The person who takes the risk is the one who gets the reward. So if you want to get the reward, you had better be willing to take the risk. Your dream is never going to make itself happen until you step out and overcome whatever fear is holding you back. You are not going to make that dream a reality, because the person who takes the risk is the one that gets the reward. Now, whilst that is true for the insurance company, it's true in every area of life. In fact, as I was thinking about it today, that's how banks make their money. Banks make a lot of money from lending people, other people's money. It's not even their own money. The money that some of you save with the bank is the same money that they probably lend to other people and make money from it. But in doing that, it may be a calculated risk, but they are taking a risk. They are, especially for all those unsecured loans, they are taking a risk that if I lend you this money, you may not pay it back. And some people don't pay it back. But at the end of the day, because they are willing to take the risk, and majority of people pay back what they borrow, they make the money. So the principle is still there. They take on the risk and they get the reward. So in life, if you're ever going to get any reward, it is not without risk. You have to be willing to take the risk if you must get the reward. With great risk comes great reward. With no risk comes no reward. Remember that. The greater the risk you're willing to take, the greater the reward that could come with that. With no risk comes no reward. And there's nothing that is going to come to the person who never dares to attempt anything. Like I said, your dream is not just going to work itself out. At some point, you've got to wake up from your sleep and stop dreaming and start living out that dream. But nothing will come to the person that never dares to attempt anything for themselves. And the ability to take risk is an attribute of people who live their dreams. There's no one today that you know that you can say they are living the dream that at some point did not have to take risk in order for them to live their dreams. So you are not going to be an exception. So you need to do it, and you're never going to get to a point where you totally overcome your fear. There would always be some bits of doubts or niggles there, but you need to do it afraid. You need to start making a decision from now that every single week you will do something that helps you push you further in the direction of living your dream. And you need to do it afraid. Don't wait until that fear disappears, because it may never disappear completely. In fact, the way to get rid of it is to start doing it afraid, and along the way, the fear becomes something of the past. Take calculated risk. In the same way that the banks would not just take the risk and lend anybody money, they will do their credit checks and all of that. You take calculated risk, but don't spend too much time over analyzing and overanalyze to the point where you get paralyzed and you are no longer taking any action. You start to take the action. Sometimes you will still have to jump down the mountain and build your wings along the way. Everything is never going to be perfect and ready for you to be able to take the risk. Do it afraid, take calculated risk. You need to change the question that you ask yourself. A question that's been holding you back for a long time is the question of, what if it doesn't work? You need to change that question to asking yourself, what if it works better than I imagined it? So rather than ask yourself, what if it doesn't work? Ask yourself, what if it works better than I imagined it? Make a decision from this moment that you will start pushing yourself towards your dream. Reason number 3 is time management. Is just I don't have the time. My life is very busy. I don't have the time to do what I would rather do. You know, it's just the pressure of life. Time management becomes a big reason. How can I start living my dream when I have other important things that are competing for my time? And this other things, they are legitimate. You've got to take care of your family, you've got to earn some money to be able to meet the bills. So they are legitimate reasons. How can you start living your dreams when you have that? But think about this, and it's important. Our generation has more time available to us than any generation that has ever lived before us. There's no generation till date that has more time available to them than any generation that has ever lived than our generation. And you are like, how can you say that, Dr. Henry? From the start of the world, it's always been 24 hours in a day. And yes, I agree with you. Whilst we've always had 24 hours in a day, I am talking about what proportion of that 24 hours is available to you as available time. Think about it. There's technology has made our life so much easier that it's made more time available to us. Now you can drive and listen to a whole book as you're driving. Okay, you don't have to set time apart to read and time to drive. You know, I couldn't have done that 150 years ago whilst I was riding on a donkey or something of that sort. Now you can do so many things at the same time. You don't even have to go shop for your groceries. You can have it delivered to you if you want. In fact, your lunch, if you want, Deliveroo or the robots can deliver it to you right where you are without you moving an inch. You can fly and be walking at the same time. You can travel on the train and be doing some work. Nowadays, some of you don't even have to go to work again. You are saving all that time that you'll have used in travel. You're using it right at home because you're able to work from home. So let's stop giving that excuse of we don't have time. Generations that existed 200 years ago will look at you with one kind of corner eye like that when you say you don't have time. They will say, what should we say in our own time? No generation has more time available to them than our generation. We have more time than any generation. The challenge we have is not availability of time. It's the fact that we don't know how to manage time. And if you must manage time, this is the mindset I have about time. And I share the view of John Maxwell in this. He says, according to him, that there isn't, when you really think about it, and this is going a little bit technical, that there isn't really anything called time management. There's nothing you can do to stop the clock from moving, okay? There's nothing you can do to slow down the clock or make it go faster. So in that sense, you cannot really manage time. But what you do, and this is really where the rubber hits the road, is manage your life in time. So switch your focus from time management to managing your life. In reality, what we are talking about is how do you manage your life in the fixed time that you've got so that you can get the best results and best output. And that includes living your dream. So you've got to think about how are you using your time now that makes it look like you don't have any time available. You see, anyone who would live their dream would still need to do it within 24 hours. Some people make a radical decision to stop whatever it is they are doing and go and start living their dream straight away. But the vast majority of people like you and I will start living their dream at the same time that they are doing all those other necessities of life that compete for their time. I'll give you a very an example of myself. Now, in a typical week, I do 3 jobs, okay? I do one job 3 days a week, which is my usual GP job of seeing patients and all of that. I do another 2 days of a week in a management role, which I very much enjoy, management and teaching role. And that is one of those that aligns more with my purpose. And on Sundays and any other day in the week, as the demand calls for, I do the work of pastoring. Now, those are the 3 main things I do every week, but that's not all I do. I'm here, for example, giving this talk today, and I do that periodically. I have other roles that I do, like I'm an examiner with the Royal College of General Practice. I do all of those things, and I don't have 24 hours more than you. You've got to, but how am I able to do all of those things? It's life management, managing my life in the time that I have got. And Stephen Covey, in his excellent book, 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, gave us this time matrix about how we should concentrate on spending our time. And according to him, what you want to do is get rid of this quadrant 4, where you're spending your time on things that are not important and are not urgent. Any time you spend in quadrant 4 is wasted time, because if it's not important and it's not urgent, if it's not important and not urgent, why are you doing it in the first place? But what you want to do is spend more time in this quadrant 2, which is where you do the more productive things that give you more time, enable you to have more time available. Preparation, planning, prevention, getting your health checked, going to the gym, doing exercises, all of those things fall in quadrant 2. Spending time with your family, they fall in quadrant 2. Taking time to work on your vision and life goals, they fall in quadrant 2. And the more of quadrant 2 you do, the more you are able to minimize quadrant 1, which you don't have much control over. Things like crisis, emergency, pressing problems. You see, the reason people's cars would sometimes break down on the road is because they didn't take it for servicing. They didn't check the oil and all of that. So if they spend some time in quadrant 2 to do what was needed, then they are not going to get that crisis. The reason sometimes, I know health issues do happen, but the reason sometimes people's health will break down most often is because they've not been spending that time in preventive activities that would stop them from becoming seriously ill. So you want to spend more of your time in quadrant 2. That's how you manage your life. In terms of living your dream, you're never going to have more than 24 hours. You're still going to have to learn to manage your life in the 24 hours that you've got. And I've already showed you that you have more time available to you now than any generation before you. So stop giving that excuse and start living your dreams today. Finally, point number 4 is one somebody else has mentioned, which is I don't have the money. And money is definitely an important thing. Some people, another definition given to dream, and I have stopped asking this question now, is what do you see yourself doing for the rest of your life if money was not an issue? And the reason I've stopped asking it is that the reality is that money is often an issue. Okay, so it's difficult for people to sometimes see themselves doing anything if money was not an issue. If you are going to live your dreams, money is definitely an issue. The necessity to earn an income is one of the biggest hindrance to people living their dreams. They've got to do that over time. They've got to do that extra job and all of that to make the money. And that means that they don't have the time. Now, I know there's a talk on money, so I'm not going to go too deep into it. But what I'm going to say is this: you need to break free from this. And how do you break free from it? You need to create channels of passive income. So passive income is the income that you don't have to physically work for. It is so critical that you create channels of passive income. In many instances, people have to exchange time and effort in order to make money. That's not an efficient way of making money for the rest of your life. You need to learn to be able to make money even in your sleep. And you're going to get some more about that. But I wanted to leave you with this thought, which is a quote from Warren Buffett. He said, if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. Now, that may sound a little bit extreme, but at the very least, you will work until retirement in this sort of system. Maybe at that point, your pension can kick in. But you don't want to do that. You don't want to wait until retirement before you start living your dream. You want to start living your dream now because that's what you were born to do. Thank you very much for listening. I believe my time is up now.
Wow, 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 wow. As always, as usual, Dr. Eric, thank you so much for that pouring of your heart. It's not just, I know you use scope. It's not just a talk to you. It's your heart desire for people to be transformed through knowledge, to be their potential, to be their best. Thank you so much.